If you've been on a pickleball court before, you know that the volley is an essential part of the game. Now, it's not just hitting that volley in, but it's placing it, it's controlling it, and it's outmaneuvering your opponents. Now, today we're going to talk about 3 types of volleys you can hit, so let's get right into it.
All right, so the first form of volley that we're going to be talking about is the tennis volley. So all those tennis players out there, you're going to love this form. We're generally talking about in a defensive sense. So what we're talking about is when I'm hitting that return of serve, I come in behind, I want to get to that kitchen line. The opponents are going to hit that return, and this ball, when they hit that third ball, it's going to be a drive really low. And so what we're looking for is a simple volley that will block the ball into the court. Justin's going to talk about the technique of this volley.
Yeah, so we know a lot of pickleball players maybe come from tennis or ping pong or badminton. If you don't come from one of these sports, when it comes to the tennis volley, we want to think simple. We're just blocking the shot. So we're just putting our paddle out. We're sort of punching. Same thing on the backhand, we're just punching. We're not doing too much with the motion, but this is what we're talking about with the tennis volley. So as Elisha said, when you're coming in from the baseline, you're maybe off balance, you're moving forward, this is when we want to use it. If we're down low, we're just blocking it back and we're trying to get that back deep. Now, another time we're going to use this is if we're at the kitchen line and our opponents are banging shots at us. This is a good time to just get our paddles out there and we're just getting a little punch on the shot there. We're not swinging too much because then it becomes really hard to control it. So again, this is the tennis volley. We'll get into the other ones right here. All right, the next volley technique is one of my favorites, and that's the ping pong volley technique. I like it because it allows me to gain control of the point. And this is why it's really the secret to becoming more aggressive in ping pong. Now, when do we use this? We use this when we get a less than perfect drop that comes a little deep, or we get a drive that's a little bit slower. Now, Elisha's gonna get right in to talking about how to hit this shot.
So before we jump into me telling you the technique, let's learn from the experts. So right here, we're gonna show you some ping pong shots. Let's hold up, we'll rewind that. Let's show it again. You can see how they're starting low to high and they're getting a lot of wrist and they're ending halfway through that motion. So when we're doing this, like Justin said, on a not so good drop or a slow drive, it gives us a lot of top spin and it gives us a lot of speed to dip to that mid court, which is where our opponent's feet are when they're coming in from that baseline. So when we're doing this technique, we have that continental or eastern grip. We get the paddle back about halfway, maybe even a little bit further, depending on the speed of the ball. We move up to contact and we snap the wrist big time with a lot of acceleration through the ball. Again, this is on a little bit slower ball, so we can be more aggressive on the volley. The better you get at this, you can do it on faster and faster shots, and you can accelerate your wrist a lot more.
Our last volley technique is the paintbrush technique. So let's pause real quick and learn from the master himself. Now that you've seen Mr. Miyagi do it so well, I want to talk about when you're going to hit it, and Elisha will talk about how. So when do we hit this shot is when our opponents hit, and this happens a lot, especially at higher levels, where your opponents start to hit these really good drops that are landing too far out in front. Now, of course, you can let those drop, but as we get better and better, we want to try to take those out of the air. So as you're taking those out of the air, now we want to learn how we actually do that. So Elisha, show us how we do that.
Right, so again, like Justin said, we're taking these balls a little bit lower than the level of the net, so we can't be attacking like the ping pong volley as much. So what we're gonna be doing, just like Mr. Miyagi said, is we're gonna start with that paintbrush, our paddle, low, below the wrist. We're gonna get into a low squat, getting it out in front. Once you make good, clean contact, we're gonna brush that paintbrush up vertically, okay? Once we get that vertically, we snap that wrist up so that we can get that top spin to dip down at our opponent's feet as they're coming in. Because we know if our opponents feel like they hit a great drop, which they pretty much did, they're gonna be moving forward. So you're looking to put not a lot of pace on this, but taking it out of the air, being able to spin it up over the net and then getting back down at their feet. When we hit it out of the air, this enables us to stop them mid-court versus if we let it bounce, they're allowed to come all the way to the kitchen line. So this is a great shot to have, especially at 4-5, 5-0 level, to be able to master this. So get out and start practicing.
Before you guys leave, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps us out. And remember, Practice with passion and perfect with persistence.
Before you go, be sure to check out Carbon Pickleball and use code PBJourney10 for 10% off any paddle or Carbon Pickleball gear.